Welcome to another episode of Healing Her Halo. I'm your host, Patience Murray, and today I'm joined by a very special guest, Sarah Parienti. She was born and raised in Paris and moved to Miami in 2010 to pursue her career and change her life completely. She fell instantly in love with living in the USA and signed up for a 7-year intense program at the prestigious Brennan School of Healing. She calls it the Harvard of Consciousness in Energy Medicine Science. After years of teaching and practicing, Sarah embraces her path of joy, artistry, beauty, and love. Multifaceted actress, creative director, stylist, and writer with experiences in television, film, theater, fashion, and brands, Sarah is now seeking roles that showcase her creativity. She has a natural ability to magnify anything and to interpret characters to deliver truthful performances, well versed in different acting techniques, and more specifically, the Meisner Technique. Having studied under some of the most renowned acting coaches in the industry, Sarah is also an excellent communicator, speaker, and team player. Her vision is to inspire and empower people's experience through her work. Sarah, welcome to the show.
Hi, welcome. What a great introduction.
Oh my gosh. Well, look, and it's your introduction because you're so amazing. So I'm just excited to dive into who you are. And you just do so many amazing and creative things. And I can really relate to that because I'm also creative too. So tell us a little bit about your creative history.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me in your show. I had a lot of pleasure preparing and working on your question. So, about my creative history, I started to perform as a kid, like I was perhaps 4 years old, and
Wow.
yeah, and I really enjoy putting on costume and playing Marilyn Monroe, what really was pleasurable to me was to have my parents and family laugh and bring joy. It was that transmission, that exchange of energy that was in a very early age, something that I could do like for hours. I was just not playing like dolls and Barbie. I was
Wow.
not like a Barbie kind of kid. I just needed to perform, and this is how it started for me.
That's so beautiful. I just
Yeah.
absolutely love that. It was about the joy that you
Yeah,
brought to your family first. That's
yeah,
so incredible. And now
yeah.
you're bringing joy to other people and empowering others. Do you feel like that, creative side to you helps you in the arena that you're in now?
Oh, yeah, definitely. And it's not only helping for project or business, but I feel it's helping in my day-to-day life. Like we all have good days and bad days, and sometimes life is just heavy
Yeah, life
and
starts lifing. Yeah.
yes. Yeah, I'm like that. Yeah, life stop lifing,
Yes.
and I find a lot of comfort in creativity. It just like it becomes your home inside. When you feel that your world collapse and that you kind of isolate yourself, the only home you can really come to is your own creativity. I like to describe creativity as a movement from the soul
Mm.
speaking through you. And this energy makes you feel safe. In fact, it nurtures you, it gives you what you need inside if you just pay attention and just stimulate a little bit. Because
Yeah.
let's be honest, we don't always want to be creative, right?
Hmm.
Especially when we feel down.
Yeah.
But you just take a piece of paper and start writing your emotion, and then the rest follow.
Wow.
So,
That's
and
beautiful.
yeah, it is beautiful, and it's who we are as a human.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's what we've got.
We've got to work with what we've got.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
although I read your bio, and I do want to give you an opportunity just to share a little bit about who you are and what you're all about. So, in your own words, who is Sarah?
Wow. Wow. I say wow because I can speak about a lot of things.
Mm.
But when I've heard you ask the question, and I was like, oh my God, what do I do? What do I do with
Yeah,
this?
yeah.
You know? Well, Sarah is a woman
Hmm.
who loves. Yeah.
That's beautiful. And I know you have a story. I know you have a story. I know there's more to dive into here. And the topic of this episode is faith in action, right? So it seems like you're a very in tune person with your faith and just the love that you have for others. So, how has faith shaped your journey? How has it, played a crucial role in your path?
Well, faith is really complex. And it's very personal. It really, we all experience faith in a different matters, and we all feel it differently. Well, to me, it's a certainty. It's a direct knowing of things that I feel inside me, and so when I go for things, and I'm certain, and I do not second guess myself, which is something I do a lot. Okay. Okay. Well,
Me too.
well, good news. We are human.
Right?
Yeah. Well, thank you. I'm glad you said you do too, because it always feels good to see how human we are. Like I'm not the only one to have this or that. We
You're
all
not
are
alone.
the same boat, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so when when I put my worry in sleep, and I just like go with my certainty, things in most case work out.
Hmm.
Most case. Of course, there are a few times where I'm so wrong and I'm so on the side, but eventually something.
Me too.
But eventually something, it's leading me to something else. And to answer your question, if I can give you an example, uh, you know I was living still in Paris at this time. We are in 2000, almost 10, 9, 10, something like this. And I just gave my first seminar based on the brain, on neuroscience and stuff like that in Paris.
It's so
But I
beautiful.
was really like a baby in this industry, and really, France was really not there at this point.
Mm.
And so nobody showed up,
Oh.
only 3 people, included the owner of the hotel where I was
Oh.
giving my seminar. And I went back home, and I was so depressed. I'm having like a real crisis of like, oh my God, how long it's gonna take me to have a career in here. And I was just like, I put so much into it, so much effort, and I didn't really have a social life at this point. I just left my ex-fiance. I was just like,
That's a lot.
I was a mess. And suddenly, but I did trust. I knew deep down, even though I was a mess, I knew deep down that things will work out eventually. Faith doesn't mean that you put on a mask and that you are all smile and you play it cool. No, faith is holding your authentic feelings, but yet knowing deep down on your belly that
Yeah.
things are gonna work out. And a few days later, I received a phone call asking me if I wanted to move to United States to learn English and study my craft over there, because my craft in the United States was much more appropriate for me than doing it in France.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yeah, why not?
That's a big
And here I
change.
am.
Wow, that was a huge change for you to just.
Shift
So
complete.
you had to learn English. You had to learn how to speak English when you came to the United States.
Yeah,
Gosh. Well, let me just tell you, your English is amazing.
thank you.
I absolutely love your accent, and it just adds to, I just think, the swagger of who you are in general. But I think that's so brave. That's so brave. How did you make that decision? I don't know. And you just were coming from a situation where it seemed as though there was some sort of misalignment or it just didn't connect or something like that. And how do you make a huge change like that in the same area in a new country?
So let me first say to you that what you are doing right now and hosting podcasts and exposing yourself takes much more courage, and it's not to please you or to compliment you that I say that, than me at this moment moving to the US. And I'm gonna tell you why. The first reason is like when you are in the position where I was, it doesn't take any courage to say yes to any change. You just want change. So you just say yes. And second of all, the whole point of faith in this moment is like I literally felt that it was not a matter of choice. It just happened. It was like it's not like I woke up in the morning saying, "Oh, I decide I'm gonna move to United States." No, that in my experience was fate, and you kind of recognize it. You kind of recognize when it's life coming to you, taking your hand to take you from A to B. You have that discernment. If you're just a little bit sensitive, you recognize those moments in your life, right? There is a subtle uh, push that takes you there. So it's not taking you any courage because really you are supported. You are like being caring from here to there. That's really what's happening. That's exactly the movement I was talking to you about at the beginning. And this movement is effortless. It's like you have nothing to do. It's like everything works out. It's like everything's open. It's just easy.
Yeah.
There is no obstacles. It's just working out. You
I
know?
get that. I absolutely get that. I totally relate to what you're saying. And it's just that moment of complete alignment. Complete
Yeah,
alignment to where you don't, like you said, you don't really have a choice in the matter. It's that push, knowing that you're being repositioned in a direction.
exactly. Have you ever experienced that?
I have. And okay, so I have so many moments when that's happened, but my husband.
Okay.
So let's just start with him because it
Okay.
was that moment of magneticness to where it felt like I couldn't make a different choice because it felt like my destiny was connected to this person. And at the time, I was living in New York. So going to Florida to live with my husband and start a new life there was a huge change that I had to make. It was a real decision. But it was like I couldn't make any other choice. So I totally get that of when you being, repositioned completely and you're being guided.
That's a very similar movement that we both experience. And you see, I didn't even know that about you. And
Yeah.
it was instant. Like you met him and you felt that. Like
Yep.
no choice.
No choice.
Wow.
Yeah. So wow, I feel so connected to you in a way that it's definitely divine. But I really resonate with that level of certainty that you're saying within yourself that you feel towards certain moments to make choices and decisions. And I would love that for a lot of people who are listening to just learn to trust that inner voice and that inner guidance because I know how detrimental it could be when you don't. And sometimes being in situation in relationships and places where it just does not serve you, or whether it's just not an environment for you to grow. And I feel like you making the decision to come to the United States, you were able to flourish here.
Absolutely. Like it's complete alignment, completely. Like I will never imagine to, and it was never even a question to me, to be honest, to move back. Like it was just an evidence, like so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so incredible. Okay, so let's get into you as an actress, because I'm really curious. So I did a little acting when I was in New York. I think just being in New York, you feel like you have to do something, like with Broadway, and
Yeah,
you walk down
exactly.
the street and you see people filming, and you're like, "Whoa, what's going on here?" So, how has your journey as an actress influenced your beliefs and your perspective on faith?
Well, that's a great question. To be an actor, you have at some point to leave your ego on the side and to surrender to the character and to surrender to your partner. Because if you are still in your me, and second guessing and listening to your inner voice, acting is just simply not working. It cannot. Because acting serves something bigger in my sense, which is for you to live truthfully under imaginary circumstances. And so there's that mirror effect happening between you and your audience. And that if you are experiencing and acting truthfully, it means you are the character, but in the same time is your own, you find your own truth in the character, and for that you have to surrender. Then the audience can feel their own feelings. And that's, in my experience, that's what inspires me in acting, is to transmit. There's a transmission piece, maybe less when you work on TV or on film, but when you work on stage and on theater, there is that direct exchange of energy with an audience. And you gotta have faith to be seen, first of all. You gotta have faith to be seen in your humanness. You gotta have faith to be seen in your intimacy, in your vulnerability, because this takes really courage. This takes faith.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, were you acting in Paris, or did you start acting when you came to the United States?
Well, I did a few gigs in Paris, but I was not ready for it. I was not just, I was not there. I was not ready. I didn't know who I was as a person, as a human. I had so much things to work on, so much baggage, so much trauma. I was just so not in touch with my body that I don't see how it would have worked out. It was just not in the card for me at this point. And I had to go to my healing school and to work every corner of my wounds and pain and find out who I was, to feel comfortable as an actor today and being okay with just being me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel your heart every time you talk. I just feel your heart every time you talk, and it just touches my heart so much. And you talked about the School of Healing and the things that you had to work through, those wounds. Um, how where did you even know to start? How did you even know to go to the school, or to what was the driving force behind that?
Wow. So that's, this question makes my night because I kind of felt a little bit lost this afternoon, and this question reminds me that I'm really supported here. So I was in Paris in that kind of funny time. It was a little bit before the seminar I gave. And at this time, I was having this person. I was saying she was not a therapist. She was more like a clairvoyant. Mm-hmm. But she gave me the bestseller, Hands of Light, from Barbara Brennan. Barbara Brennan was a physicist from the NASA. And she worked as a physicist at the NASA for like 25 years. And she studied the atmospheric field and discovered the human energy field in relationship with the universal energy field, and basically the anatomy of who we are, and the disease process, and all of that. I mean,
it's incredible.
Incredible. It's, to me, the most brilliant knowledge. It's highest education to me. It's, in my sense, what's the most important things to know about healing. And it felt really safe to me to read this book, because it was very grounded and grounding for me. When science and physics are involved, it's very grounded, and it's very safe to me because there's a structure. Mm-hmm. And that's what it was. It's like suddenly I'm reading a book that explained to me scientifically the law of God. Mm. And so I read that book, and when that woman gave me that book, she said, "You're going to read this book, you're going to go to the United States, you're going to do the school, and you're going to be speaking about that all around the world." And I looked at her like, this woman is crazy. I don't know how much she smokes. She smokes the carpet, obviously. And that was 2 years before I moved to United States. And I would not be, and she was like, "Oh, you can look at me like this, like I'm crazy. It's not going to change anything. You see, it's going to happen." I'm like, "You're crazy." It wasn't real for me. Like, it was, first of all, it was inaccessible. It was far. It was like the impossible dream. I was like, yeah,
I get that.
Maybe when I have 50, that I already have my security taken care of, maybe I sign up to the school. But you see, another reason to have faith, a month after I moved to Miami, I am walking on the street. I meet a friend from Paris, childhood, who she was in my class. We were
no way.
12 years old. And she doesn't know what to do to help me. She's in United States since years. She speaks English fluently. She really wants her help. And I'm like, yeah, if you can find an evening class that taught about energy work, let me know. And you can find inspiration to the Barbara Brennan School of Healing if you don't know what I'm talking about. She called me like 15 minutes later after she came home, and she said, "Listen, your school, Barbara Brennan School of Healing, they have an open student day tomorrow. It's free. I'm picking you up at 7 a.m. You're coming with me. We're going to sign you up."
Wow.
And that's how it happened.
So you meet a person that you knew.
Yeah.
From Paris. And this whole moment of synchronicity just happens while you're walking down the street.
I had no rendezvous per se. I mean,
you can't make that up. You just can't make that up.
Yeah.
There's no way you can write that. If this is a script and we're the characters, like, that's just masterful storytelling right there.
Thank you. Well, I'm gonna write about it. You gave me an idea.
As you absolutely should. And honestly, just your whole concept of this level of certainty. And I think, like you said, it's faith and then certainty, this deep in your gut knowing that you are where you're supposed to be. In a moment like that, it's complete confirmation. And it's not without a doubt that you made the right choice at that time.
Yeah.
Isn't that beautiful? I absolutely love that. Okay. So what happened next? So once you're in the school, what was going through your mind? Like what were some of the things that you loved about the experience of being at the School of Healing and how to help you?
But what I love the most about the school is like, I moved by myself here, and being at the school was being surrounded by a template that was very safe and very, very, like a kind of love I've never experienced before. And that was very healing to begin with, to have that support, to that template that hold you during this
That
time of
community.
healing. That community, yeah, thank you. I was looking for that word. So that's the community was my number one aspect that I really appreciated. Of course, the healing pieces is tremendous, but it goes with a lot of up and down, emotional up and down. I'm not gonna lie,
Mm-hmm.
it was tough. It was really tough. It was brutal because it's all or nothing. You're doing it or you're not doing it. But if you choose to do it, you're gonna look at every corner of your history and how you created what you created, good and bad, for yourself, and how you take responsibility for that, and learning deep on the deeper level who you are. And that being said, it means like working with your shadow, working with revisiting places you don't want to go. And sometimes it's not even most of the time it's not even a logical process. It's just the energy is moving through you. You feel the intensity of it. You feel the agony of it, but you don't even know how to associate this energy with what. It's just happening. So it's not energy. I got to stay humble and to say that energy is, to me, the highest intelligence. It knows what it does and when to do whatever it does, but there's a mystery into it. We still do not understand how it functions, and we gotta be okay with this. We gotta own that. Like, there's a part of mystery here that we need to accept. But what I really want to say here is like, it's not like it was challenging. I will do it again because I love who I became, and the love I feel for myself is something I would have never ever dreamed to have. Uh, I didn't even know it exists, to be honest. And that's the only way you can truly love others. It's if you don't have this for yourself, there's no way you can love others genuinely.
Yeah.
uh, you know
And I think it's so brave. I think it's so brave to face those shadows and to face those deepest parts of yourself that maybe you didn't even know that you had to face in order to get better, to heal, to be a person that you are divinely meant to be on this earth, to be able to give that love and to show it for others. And I do think the depth of our wounds is also the depth of our joy, how deep our joy can be. It just feels that the light fills those wounds so much and so deeply that it just makes up for those feelings when they do come, because it comes in waves. But that joy, that joy that fills those places, and that love and joy that you can give to others from that deep place, it's worth it.
yeah, it definitely it is worth it. And to be able to connect like this, like just simply, like it's just heart to heart, and like
Yeah.
it's human to human. And that being said, it doesn't mean that you are open to whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean that you're gonna accept or allow things that feels off to you. It's actually the contrary. Loving yourself gives you more of yourself. It gives you more of you, and so it gives you more respect as well for what you want to tolerate and what you are not tolerating anymore, you know. But that also, it's not even logical, you know. I see on social media now we are overwhelmed by all kind of personal development stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody talks about boundary, but
Mm-hmm.
the truth is really you don't even need to name your boundary, because it's happening on a different level, you know. Like, just when you know where who you are, and when you carry that love, people will not mess with you. It's just
It's an
this.
energy. It's
Yeah,
the energy you carry that
yeah,
creates
exactly,
the boundary itself. That
absolutely.
that you articulated that so well. Oh my God. And I do feel like sometimes we're so vocal about, just like, oh, I'm getting rid of everything that no longer serves me. And it's just like so vocal. And sometimes it comes from a place, I think, of just an unhealed place, that it doesn't come off as that empowering message that it's supposed to be, you know?
Exactly. But I love that what you said about being vocal about that, because of things that no longer serve you. Between you and I mean, not between you and I, because obviously this podcast is gonna be
Just us
for,
listeners.
but just for listener. The truth is, people, they don't even understand what it means
Mm-hmm,
to
mm-hmm.
say what does no longer serve you. I think it's so vague and so confusing, you know. Like, what do you mean? And
Yeah.
it's when they say let go, but what do you mean? How do we do this? Okay, let go. How do I do that? Like, how am I letting go technically? What's happening technically? What do I
Yeah.
have to, you know? Like, it's all vocal, like you said, and people don't. I feel that it's bringing even more confusion. It's like authenticity. What do you mean you have
That's
to be
another one.
authentic? It's like and it brings a lot of guilt. It means that people, you know, that I feel we are very privileged to be able to talk
Mm-hmm.
about these things and to have this state of mind and consciousness. Most of people, they don't have that luxury because they simply don't have time to think about themselves, to heal themselves. That's a luxury. It really is. But does that mean that these people who cannot afford to have a healing session, does that make them non-authentic? What
Wow.
are we talking about here? No, but seriously, it's like I feel at some point this circus needs to stop, because there's a guilt nobody talks about here. And I think it's important to say that we are authentic. Even when we lie, we are authentic, right? That's what you wanted
Yeah,
to do in that moment. That's your
that's so true.
human.
That's so true. Wow, I just love your whole approach just to this down to earth, relatable, just cut through the clutter, cut through the facade approach to just healing and just being real, right?
Yeah,
Let's get back to just being real, right?
yeah,
Because
exactly.
it's really hard, like sometimes, to be authentic, to show up, be vulnerable, and do all of these things, these expectations, to set boundaries and all these things. So I just appreciate you and your honesty.
Well, thank you, Patience. Thank you for bringing that up in me. But yeah, it's very true.
So, and I know that we've had you for some time now, but I just love talking to you. But I usually, when we get to this part of the show, I usually ask a question about anything you have to share, anything at all that could help heal another woman's halo. What would that be?
Different two things comes to me. The first thing is learning to differentiate yourself and being okay with this. It means like comparing yourself to what how it should look like and who you should be is a poison. It really is. And so learning to differentiate yourself embracing your unique soul and essence is very liberating. It creates space and freedom to really let the energy circulate creatively. And the second thing I want to say is like, we live in time where we are encouraged to individuate. Individuation is becoming a very trendy and fashion topic. And there's good in it, and I think there's less good in it. We need each other. We need connection. The other is your breath, is your oxygen. We cannot live with each other, and so be careful not to isolate yourself. We need community. We need more of this. We need to talk to each other for real. We need to sit and to talk. We need that connection, family, community, friends, lovers, passion. All of these are, in my experience, the most important at this time where so much chaos is happening. Yeah.
I agree. And so, what inspires you to empower others through your work in the arts? Because that seems like a huge part of who you are. So, how does that work in with everything?
Well, what inspired me to write and to be acting is for it's the transmission. Really, I use that as a vehicle to express my feelings and reconnect to humanness, for people to feel their feelings and experience this, which is something not easy to do in real life because life is lifing.
I love when you stand for it.
And so it's not, people don't really have time nor space to feel their feeling in real life, and they simply just don't know how to do that, and they don't even know how to allow that. But when you watch a show, could be on Netflix or on stage, that's a space where you actually leave the, it's a space where you no longer are on control because you are in experiencing the show, and through the storytelling, through um, action, you feel your feelings, and that's what inspired me to do,
So,
is to reconnect with humanness.
and that humanness, and I do feel like there is this sense of surrender that keeps coming up whenever you're talking about faith or whenever you're talking about your roles and just being, surrendering to the role, surrendering to the character, surrendering to the narrative that you're conveying and whatever you're transmitting, right? So, was there any role or project in particular that allowed you to convey a message of faith or belief to your audience in that way?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, by the end of my 7 years of healing school, I might have done a good job because I had that creativity coming into me, and those characters coming to me, and I started to write about Sarah and Abraham from the Bible.
Really?
Yeah, and I started to do some research as an historian. Really, like I felt called to do a modern retelling of this Bible story and to make it contemporary. And it's like, if these characters were alive today, what would be their message
That's so
to
good.
us? And we do know from Bible story that the story of Sarah really is a story of faith. I mean, she gave birth in the very late years at this time. And so I first I have done that research from all of the religion that exist, like how I'm Jewish, so I'm like, how is Judaism seeing the character of Sarah and Abraham and what's happening in the Torah? What's happening for Christian? How are they seeing it? What's their point of view? I've done that. And then once I kind of have a chronology of the story, I forgot what I've learned and I made it mine. I mean, mine, collectively. Like, what would, if that would have happened today, what it would be like. And for example, for Sarah to have a very late pregnancy, energetically, how could we translate that? Could it be like I don't know, like she really felt her essence and she's like, she had some energetic download happening. I mean, there was the love story between Sarah and Abraham, and then the love triangle with Pharaoh, with the character of Pharaoh. So I play with that, which created a nice, sexy, juicy love triangle story.
I love it. And where is this available for us to view?
Yeah, so we did performances here in downtown Miami
Oh my
that I
God.
filmed. I'm very proud of it.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's
I did
amazing.
it was amazing, but it was a little bit. I mean, there's 16 characters, so and in fact, I'm saying this for the first time. I'm thinking of reviewing this project, but to simplify it. So I'm working on that right now, and to make it more accessible and doable. So that's my idea at the moment.
I absolutely love this. I absolutely adore the fact that you are modernizing these aspects in the Bible, right? And making them
Right,
relatable and approachable
right,
for people in ways that are easily digestible as well.
right. It needs to be easy and accessible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if I can just get personal with you for a second,
Yeah, sure.
um, you seem like you have really commanded your presence, and I think I told you this earlier about just like you, the energy you carry, the power in which you command. It seems like your future. Was there a time when you felt like it that wasn't the case, or if you felt like just and I don't want to use the word loss, but more so, did you ever feel that sense of just disconnect within yourself where you just couldn't get it, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, it never stops. It's always there. There's this part of me that it's lost, confused, sad, that has grief, and that it's disappointed, that really doesn't know. I mean, I have ideas and but really life told me that you can have plans, but really at the end you don't know really where you're going. And that's also part of being a human. We don't know. We think we do, but we don't know. And that's part of it. So you see, all of it is who I am. I can play charisma right now, and I can really be collapsing inside. But that's not black and white. I'm the package
Yeah.
simultaneously, and I just accept it. I just, patience. If you take yourself from now to your 80 years old, it's your 80 years old, and it's your birthday, and you have that beautiful cake, and you recall on your life, and you think about your past and your experiences. But from this place of being 80 years old, when you look at yourself right now. I'm not 80 yet, but I'm trying to project myself there. And I'm certain that the good experience and the bad experience are becoming equal from your 80 years old. There is no duality anymore. There is no separation between the good and the bad. Eventually, both bad and good are coming together as just one experience. When you have 80, you're just happy you experienced them, right? You're just happy that you lived your life. You no longer judge it as good and bad. You just like, oh my God, I lived my life. And I'm so glad I did. I'm so glad I was inappropriate at this time. I'm so glad I was not playing the good girl at this time. I'm so glad I was just being me and follow my impulse, you know? So, to go back to your question, yes, I'm chaos and I'm alive in the same time.
Sarah, you are such a light, but
Mm.
you are fierce. You have such a fierce presence to you, and I'm so grateful that you gave us your voice, your insights, your wisdom today. And
Thank you.
if there's any final word at all that you have to any woman right now who may be in a place where she's hurting, she's broken, she's lost, and that faith that she's trying to activate right now, it seems almost impossible. What could you say to her?
Feel it, because there's no other way. If you allow yourself to feel that agony, if you allow it as much as you allow yourself to feel joy, eventually the pain becomes soft. And that pain you are experiencing is where you actually touch yourself. That agony is you, it's the biggest version of you, is your soul screaming for you to take you in your own arms. That's what it is. The pain is the resistance to it. The pain is you resisting to your own self because nobody told you that when you were a kid. So it's very scary. But once you understand that the pain serves you to come back to yourself, eventually you allow yourself to feel it and it becomes soft. And tomorrow is gonna be a new day. And it's temporary. It never lasts. It never lasts. But again, the pain is coming from the light. The pain is not coming from the pain. The pain is guided. It is. Now, you can entertain it because that's what we do. We love romance. so,
Yes.
so we do entertain it. We can make it last longer because we are in our head. But if you are back into your body and just feel it, then that pain is healing your cell. It's actually rejuvenating. It really is. And okay, last thing I want to say, and it's just because it works for me. I could be really not okay. At the moment I go to my theater class using Meisner. Meisner Technique is what? The Meisner Technique is to get out of your head. So you don't have choice than just work off on your partner, being focused on the other. And through repetition, it brings you back into presence and into your body. After 5 minutes, not more, 5 minutes of Meisner work, not only I'm okay, but I'm feeling high. Why? Because I took the focus that I had on me out to the world.
Wow.
Right? That's what I did. So just change your focus. Change your focus. Focus on the things you want to see. Focus on the things you want to live and feel and experience. Focus on others. You feel you're lacking on something, go give something to someone. Right? It can be anything. If it can be anything. Give an apple, give a smile, give a, now people, you take the elevator, people are like that, they're on their phone, on their things. Give that damn phone up and just look at people around you, say hi, how are you today, how was your day, you just give something,
That exchange.
and things is gonna change so quickly, instantly, because there's aliveness energy. You're gonna reconnect with the life force, and that's what you want in these moments.
Sarah, how can we stay connected with you?
Well, I give you my phone number in private.
Yes, I get the number, but you guys, you can get the links. And are you the Instagrams, if anybody's on TikTok, I don't know, or websites, just let us know how we can stay connected with you.
Yeah, of course. So I have two websites. I have a website as an actress. It's www.sarahparienti.com. And you have another one. It's www.sarahteach, but it's TEACHS. I forget the E. I forget .com. And you have my Instagram, first and last name, and you have my Facebook, my LinkedIn. What else? I think that's it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Everything that you said has just touched my heart in such a way that I can only imagine for the listeners what they're experiencing and how they're feeling. But Sarah, thank you. Thank you so much for being on the show.
You're welcome. It was my pleasure to spend time with you. Thank you. Thanks to you. And yeah.
Well, this has been another episode of Healing Her Halo.